All right, looks like we are good to go. Good morning, Castle to Coast kids. Welcome to the Virtual Junior Ranger program. The lineup for this week coming out of the San Luis Obispo Coastal District, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 10 a.m. right now. Today, geology rocks. Anyone got a rock collection out there? All right. I know I do. I keep my rock collection in the garden. Let's look at this big lush garden on the central coast of California. We've got the Hearst Ranch out there. Welcome to Hearst Castle. My name is Tracy, and I'm going to be your guide today. We're going to be talking about all that glitters is gold at Hearst Castle. It's fancy, it's opulent, it's full of all these really awesome architectural decorative elements. Here at Hearst Castle, we'll spend the first 20 minutes taking a little hunt on all the gold. Are you ready to become a treasure hunter here? And then for the next 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes of our Castle to Coast program, we're going to head on down the coast. Oh, the beautiful ocean. All right, that marine layer and the fog is finally lifted just for our program. We'll be heading about, over 30 miles south down the coast to Robin at Morro Bay State Park, where she is going to be talking about the big, huge Moro Rock. So it's a program based around geology today, and I'm going to be talking about the mineral gold. Gold is not just found in the earth, it's found on statues here at Hearst Castle. So I wanted to show you the statue at the top of the fountain, and it's one of my favorites. It's called the Fairy Princess. And this statue is covered in gold. Now the interior of it is bronze, which is another metal. And then it's covered in gold. Now this young girl is a fairy princess, and what is she holding in her hand? You can see how her arm is outstretched, her palm is open, and there's a frog right in her hand. She's about to kiss the frog. These were statues made about 100 years ago, and there's not just one golden statue. Well, everything that glitters is certainly gold at Hearst Castle, but it's also the Pacific Ocean, the beautiful body of water that Hearst Castle looks out over. Let's get a little closer to this golden statue. Okay, these two were made by the same artist. Around 100 years ago, they grace and decorate the top of a marble fountain. The artist is Gustave Adolphe Dalmer. And like the fairy princess, this girl is also doing something, holding something in her hand. It's not a frog, but it's a rose, and she is smelling the first rose of spring. Now there's so much gold at Hearst Castle. Gosh, what makes gold so sought after, so expensive? We're gonna find gold not only on statues, but as we turn around to see Casa del Mar, House of the Sea, named for its beautiful views of the glittering ocean. You might notice that the handrails are painted in gold. So the gold is used as a decorative element. Element, you say? That's what gold is. Now, where can we find gold at Hearst Castle? Let's see. Let me share a photo with you. Here we have an aerial shot, photograph taken probably from an airplane, I would say, back in the 1940s or so. Here's Hearst Castle. There's the Neptune pool. There are that's We are standing right about here in front of House of the Sea, but there's also 3 total cottages. 1, 2, 3. We're going to go into House of the Sun pretty soon. The sun is also a golden yellow color, and gold was often associated with the sun. And here at Hearst Castle, we're going to find gold on paintings, on frames, on statues, on railings, on doors, on doorways, on furniture. It is just about everywhere, and it's been used all over the world for hundreds of years to decorate. What else does it decorate here at Hearst Castle? Well, here on this balcony screen, let's get up a little closer, we can see gold decorating the screen. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? Gold really adds something to it. Could you imagine if it was all painted all just one color? But the gold shines, it shimmers. It brings out the detail. What is gold? Well, gold is a precious metal. It's also found on the periodic table of elements. It's a mineral. And let's see, gold is right about, well, it's number 79 here. There we go. The symbol for gold as an element on the periodic table is AU. Oops, let's bring that back. Where else can gold be found? Well, it can be found in computer chips, jewelry, gears in watches. It could be found in teeth fillings. It was even found on King Tut's burial death mask when King Tut, when his tomb was unearthed in the 1920s. So thousands of years ago, the Egyptians were using gold. Where else can gold be found here at Hearst Castle? All right, let's go find some gold. I've got my mask on because we're going to be meeting some friends along the way. Oh, I found some gold. Let's see if you can find it. There we go. Sorry for the shake there. I had to put my tripod down. Here's the doors at House of the Sun. Oh, and here's my friend Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Tracy. Are you talking about gold?
We're talking about everybody's favorite mineral, gold.
Oh,
Andrew,
wow.
Where do we find it here?
Oh man, there's gold all over the place. You have gold on the gates, the iron doors. There's even gold in the grout. I don't know if you guys can
I'm gonna
see
get
it
up
right
close.
there. Yeah. Check this out. Right between the tiles, that's gold grout. That's incredible. Maybe you have some grout in your bathtub. I don't know if it's gold like that, but
I've never seen gold in grout before, except at Hearst Castle.
yeah, I think that was probably one of Mr. Hurst's favorite building materials. Now,
So the grout is what keeps the tile in. So it's kind of like a sticky stone mixture that holds tile in. But then on top of the grout, they've put gold. Wow.
that's awesome. Now check out this gate because
Let's see this golden gate.
there's all these interesting kind of cartoon-like characters in the gold. And this was a design by the architect Julia Morgan. She was using her favorite craftsman, Ed Trinkeller. He was a metal worker from Los Angeles. And he was the one that was doing all of these gates up here at Hearst Castle.
And a lot of the doors and the handrails and such are painted with gold. And Ed Trinkeller would have most likely done that, right?
Yeah, And so even though it's a big, heavy gate, it's covered with these golden figures. Do you guys see this guy right here?
Oh yeah, we'll go pan down. Now they're really funny kind of faces, aren't they?
Well, we think they might have come from old German comic books that Mr. Trinkkeller would have read when he was a boy. He grew up in Germany before he moved to the US.
Yeah.
Max and Moritz. It was a very popular cartoon in Europe. And William Randolph Hearst, when he visited Europe as a boy, he also discovered these characters. And later, he's going to create comic book characters for his newspapers. So when people would come to visit Casa del Sol, they might have recognized some of these cartoons, even in the Golden Gate.
All right. So Max and Moritz are what we think would be the inspiration for this really interesting door that's painted with gold. Now, Andrew wanted to point out a face that was different than these fun caricature heads with pointed noses and flipped up hair. Andrew, can you point at that face for me?
Okay, this is the guy I wanted you to see, because that is the artist. That's the craftsman, Ed Trinkkeller.
You've been telling us about Ed Trinkkeller, and now we actually get to see his profile in the door that he made.
So he left like his own signature on his work, and he used his own face among all these kind of goofy cartoon faces. He's going to put his own face right there on his own craftsmanship.
And painted in gold. Now the gold's not just on this door, but it's also on the grout, and it's overhead on that half circle called a lunette. And that has a mason with his tools. Does anyone out there know what a mason does? Yeah, they lay bricks. He's got a hammer and a trowel. Does anyone have a family member who works as a mason? And that is painted with gold or gold leafed. That's the first time we've talked about gold leaf. And we're gonna hear more about gold leaf. And look, there's a golden door as well. Andrew, would you mind getting that door for us?
Oh yeah, that would be my pleasure.
Thank you. Now, we see that there's gold on statues and doors. We're gonna see where other things that gold is on. But why do artists work with gold so much? What are the characteristics of gold? Well, it's shiny. And did you know the mineral gold is very soft? It's very soft. So a gold bar can actually be flattened. It can be pressed down. A gold bar can be flattened and it could be stretched. But where does gold come from? Well, let's look up to find our answer. Here we go. We're going to adjust. Oh, we're going higher and higher. Let's look at the ceiling that has gold on it. Where does gold come from? Well, scientists tell us that gold came from outside of this world. It came from the universe. It came from space. And it came to Earth on meteorites when the Earth was very young. The Earth was a young 200 million years old when gold came on meteorites from the stars. Do these look like golden stars in the ceiling to you? So here at Hearst Castle, the former home of William Randolph Hearst, there's gold everywhere, just like I promised you. In the ceiling. It's in or on the door, the window frames and the window trim. So that's what you would call that decorative element around the window. Is it painted? No, it's not painted. Remember, I said gold is very soft. It's one of the softest minerals on that periodic table. So it can be stretched and flattened and pressed into very tiny sheets. We're going to see those sheets. And people knew about those the property of gold long ago. This statue here is wood. It's carved wood, and that is a religious figure, Mary, the mother of Jesus. And she is painted with beautiful colors, and she has gold leaf. Can you say gold leaf, like a leaf on the tree? That's what the artists would use. It's a very small piece of gold, like smaller than tinfoil, like wrapping paper almost. And there's gold on, here's the Christ child, that's Jesus. So this is a religious statue. It's 600 years old. You're looking at a 600-year-old statue painted and gilded. Gilded is the word for using gold leaf, which is very thin pieces of gold applied to a surface. What other surfaces could gold be put on? What would you put gold on? Well, let's look up at this painting. It's another religious piece of art. Where do you see the gold? That's right, it's framing the painting. And if you're familiar with Christianity, you would know that that was Jesus again, the Christ child, and he's got a halo of gold coming out. He's illuminated. And then you might notice the halos that Joseph and Mary are wearing are also golden, that gold leaf. This is a 500-year-old painting. So gold has been around for a long time and artists have been using it. Why is there so much gold in religious art? Well, gold in religious art is meant to represent the light of God, the light of God. So that's why you see gold, real gold in religious art. Where else is there gold in House of the Sun? All right. Why would someone put gold in their house? We know why it's in religious art, but it illuminates and it shimmers and it adds great detail. Could you imagine if this fireplace had blazing logs going in it? Could you imagine how the light would reflect on the ceiling that's also gold? Let's take a look. I have a flashlight out, but it doesn't really do anything. But could you imagine how the light would make that ceiling shimmer? We can see it coming from that lamp right here. What a beautiful ceiling. Look at all the shapes and swirls and plant-like motifs in that ceiling. So ceilings covered in gold, gold leaf. And I keep saying gold leaf, but what is gold leaf exactly? And I have my friend Sherry with me here in the sitting room of House of the Sun. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Tracy. How's everybody doing today?
We're doing great. And
Good.
Sherry, there's a gold frame behind you. Wow, that's really cool. Let me get a little closer. Oh no, come on in, Sherry. Sorry, I didn't mean to kick you out of the screen. You've got something in your hand that we're all interested in.
I do.
And I've been telling them about gold leaf, but it's hard to imagine unless we really see it in person.
Well, it's really thin. It's like 1/125,000th of an inch thick.
We're gonna
you
get
can see
close.
this is tissue paper right here, that in between the tissue paper is gold leaf that is very thin. And you can see just my finger touching it, how a little breeze can make it blow. So it's very thin. And they would use this when they did some gold leaf, but there was a couple of different methods. And tomorrow we're going to actually do the oil-based method, which is much easier.
We are going to actually, Sherry, our arts and crafts queen, is going to show us how to gold leaf a frame. So she's going to use some of this thin gold. Now this gold came from a larger bar, and they would take a bar and they would put it through a machine that pulls the bar of gold into a taffy type structure. So the gold is really soft and it stretches. And then they would cut it into squares. So we see the square right here, but they would actually have to stack each square of gold leaf in between special sheets of paper, and they would have to hammer it and pound it until it became so thin, just like we see. Oh, we've got a little piece of gold hanging off right there. So if you join Sherry and I tomorrow, she's going to show us how to gold leaf a frame.
So we're gonna have silver frames and then we're gonna turn them into gold frames.
Awesome, Sherry. I'm so excited for that. It's at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
I hope to see
Same
you.
place, YouTube. And we will see you then, Sherry.
Sounds like a plan. Bye, everyone.
That's really cool. Let's go back outside. Let's see. Oh, we're gonna be meeting Robin. So I'm gonna bring us back outside. Open up this golden door. There we go. Thank you for coming around Hearst Castle with me today, looking for all the gold, learning about this wonderful precious metal. And tomorrow we'll be back at Hearst Castle at 10 a.m. with Sherry, learning how to gold leaf a frame. So now we're going to move from the mineral gold onto rocks and volcanic processes. So Robin, take it away.
Thanks, Tracy. Hello, everyone. My name's Robin, and we're here at beautiful Morro Bay State Park. That was awesome, Tracy. Thank you so much for sharing. Hoping all of you can see me really quick. Just a quick test. I'm gonna ask my moderator really quick to spotlight my video so people can see me. But in the meantime, let me introduce myself. My name is Robin Hazard, and I'm an interpreter here at Morro Bay State Park on the beautiful Central California coast. So that shot of the coast that Tracy showed you, enshrouded in fog, that's where I am. And you can tell right now, it's a pretty foggy day. I'm just sitting here in the clouds. So again, my name is Robin. I'm going to give you a quick smile. But for the rest of the program, I will be wearing a mask, just to ensure that anybody who is around me is safe, as well as my own safety. So we're learning about geology, right? Geology rocks, in my opinion. I find it absolutely fascinating. And we're gonna see a couple things along a little hike that we're gonna do right now. We're currently here at White Point in Morro Bay State Park. And I'm gonna go ahead and flip the camera so you can see what I'm seeing. So this here is the Marina in Morro Bay. It's a beautiful cypress just off of that little peninsula. There's a neat little hike there. We're gonna go ahead and take a stroll and check out the neat rocks we've got around here. And at the end, we're gonna be noting one particular rock that is quite famous around here. Some of you may know which rock that is. And for those of you watching on Facebook, feel free to ask questions, add some comments. Feel free to put some spoilers in there if you're just jumping out of your seat right now on anything that I'm talking about. So like I said, we're here at White Point, and the rock that you see here at White Point, this is known as Chert. So at Hearst Castle, they've got a lot of gold. That's their thing, right? But what is Chert? This Chert is actually made of crystals. So here we have crystals, and they're really, really small. Chert is made up of really, really tiny microscopic crystals that are compressed together by heat. This is known as sedimentary rock. For those of you learning your geology right now, you may know what sedimentary rock is. If you think about sediments, maybe like small rocks that you see in a creek or a riverbed, those sediments get compressed together by heat, forming a solid rock. So I'm going to go ahead and knock on that rock. It's solid, but it's made up of lots of little tiny crystals. And if you look closely, you may be able to see some. So again, this is called Chert, and it's all around us on White Point. Now what's over here? Does anybody know what these holes in the rock are? Again, if you're watching over on Facebook, feel free to leave a comment, a question, or go ahead and scream the answer out. Add an exclamation point. What are these depressions, these holes in this rock? So if you think about your kitchen, and maybe you, your parents, some adult in your kitchen preparing food, they use tools, right? They may use bowls, maybe a spoon. Maybe you have a blender or a food processor. So these rocks, these holes in the rocks are a place where the northern Chumash who live here, they've lived here a lot longer than us. They used to prepare their food here. And what they would do is they would stick food, maybe it's acorns from an oak tree, maybe it's moon snails from Morro Bay, maybe it's some sort of grass. They would grind their food up on this rock. And over time, over a long period of time, holes began to form in this rock. And you can envision, go ahead and back up here. You can envision a group of people sitting on this large rock, maybe in a circle, preparing their food, chatting about the day, maybe chatting about how beautiful it is here, maybe chatting about children in the area, whatever it may be. And that's why these bedrock mortars, which is what they're called, bedrock mortars, these are also called gossip stones, because groups of people would hang out here and socialize. So these bedrock mortars also tell us not only how they prepared their food, the northern Chumash that have lived here much longer than most of us, it also shows that they were social. Now remember, this is a time without written record. We don't have any many writings. So seeing evidence of this and oral stories from the northern Chumash that still currently live here tell us how these bedrock mortars were used and why they were important. And again, these bedrock mortars, they're in that Chert rock. Just imagine how many times you would have to grind into this rock in order to make a hole like that. A long time, I'm sure, right? So we'll go ahead and continue up, walking up White Point. Look at these beautiful eucalyptus trees. Now, Tracy mentioned that 200 million years ago, gold was created on Earth. But 26 million years ago, we have something here at Morro Bay State Park that we can still see today. And that is Moro Rock. So for those of you who've already guessed, the geological feature that we were going to talk about, you're right, it's Moro Rock. Now, Moro Rock looks pretty small, right? I could probably put it in between my fingers. It looks really small, but we're pretty far away from it. Moro Rock is actually 581 feet tall. 581 feet tall. That's pretty big, right? But it used to be much, much bigger. It was probably 3, maybe 4 times bigger than it is right now. So what is Moro Rock? Moro Rock is an ancient volcano. There was a volcano out right there, but now it looks like that. Why do you suppose it looks much smaller, and why do you suppose it's still there? So Moro Rock is known as a volcanic plug. Can you say that with me? Volcanic plug. What is a volcanic plug? So when you have a volcano, and who knows what's inside a volcano? Lava and magma. Good job. Lava and magma is inside a volcano. And when we get a little tiny air vent, a pocket of air inside a volcano, it solidifies that lava and magma. And it makes it hard. It makes that lava and magma hard. And when it does that, it plugs up the volcano. Much like when you put a plug in the bottom of a sink drain, it plugs it up. So it's no longer a volcano. It has that plug there. And over time, it got really small. Now it's not small, right? It's still 581 feet tall. But compared to what it looked like when it was an active volcano, it's much smaller. And when it was an active volcano, like I said earlier, this was 26 million years ago. 26 million years ago. Do you think you were alive 26 million years ago? Most definitely not. That's a long time. And that's how long this rock has been here. Moro Rock has been here for so long, and it served a purpose to lots of different people and animals that live in the area. So imagine if you're sailing out in the ocean and it's in the 1500s, maybe 1600s, way before lots of the towns that are here in California existed. You're sailing in a ship and you see this big rock from the ocean. That's a good navigational tool, isn't it? It's kind of like when you're driving down a freeway and you see a sign that tells you where you are. This big geological feature, Moro Rock, has served as a navigational tool for centuries. And not only for the people out in the ocean, but also for people on land. So if you've ever been to Morro Bay, or maybe driving up the Highway 1, you may have seen this big rock before. And even if you didn't know exactly where you were, but you knew about Moro Rock, you would see this rock and you would say, I'm in Morro Bay, because that's Moro Rock. So humans have benefited from this rock for a really long time. But there's other animals that have benefited from this rock as well. And one in particular is really, really cool. And that's this bird right here. Does anybody know what bird this is? Go ahead and take a guess. It's about the size of a crow. And this is the fastest animal in the world. You heard me right. This is the fastest animal in the whole entire world. This is the Peregrine Falcon. And on Moro Rock, Peregrine Falcons nest there. So what was once a volcano, a hot volcano filled with lava and magma spewing out here 26 million years ago, this hot volcano is now a volcanic plug that is home to several kinds of birds, including this peregrine falcon. And let's go ahead and take a look at what this falcon looks like when they're diving so fast, flying so fast through the air at 242 miles per hour. Think about that number, 242 miles per hour. Have you been in a car maybe that goes that fast? I hope not, because that's really, really fast. And these birds, they'll dive through the air and catch their food. And what do they eat? These peregrine falcons eat other birds. And they're able to do that successfully because they fly so fast and cut through the air. So Moro Rock serves as a resting site for several kinds of birds, like this one right here. That is a cormorant. Cormorants, there's another one coming. Cormorants, western gulls, peregrine falcons, and even brown pelicans call Moro Rock home. So something that became maybe thought of as not useful anymore because Moro Rock is no longer a volcano. Some people may see it as not having a purpose, maybe just looking pretty. It actually has a very big purpose because it's home to all of these different animals. And on Moro Rock, the Brandt's cormorant is the largest population. So we'll go ahead and look at this little panel here. You can see what a peregrine nest looks like. To the right, you see that peregrine falcon nesting right in the rock. And to the left, you see that Brandt's cormorant nesting there as well. Up to the right, you can see that western gull. And back in the distance, you can see some brown pelicans. There are other birds such as black oyster catchers, black turnstones that also call Moro Rock home. So these are a couple of the neat geological features that we have here at Morro Bay State Park. And like Tracy mentioned, tomorrow for our virtual junior ranger program, we'll have some gold leafing at Hearst Castle. I know that I'm going to tune in at 10 o'clock in the morning because I want to see what that looks like. They mentioned a little bit of it today, but you'll get to see it in action tomorrow. How exciting is that? So I'll go ahead and give you a last little look of Morro Bay before we head out. This is us looking towards the south, and you can see that strip of land there on the other side of the water. That's the sand spit. Speaking of rocks, that's entirely made of sand. You can see Morro Bay just here, the strip of land, and then on the other side, you can see more water. That's the Pacific Ocean. So this strip of land, entirely made of sand, was formed by big, big rocks that eroded over time and became sand. We'll go ahead and sign off for now, saying goodbye to Moro Rock and goodbye to all the nesting birds that call it home, a safe space for them because that rock is protected. I'll go ahead and flip the camera around. Wishing you all goodbye. Again, my name is Robin. I hope you'll tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. to witness gold leafing in action at Hearst Castle. Thanks so much for joining us today for another virtual Junior Ranger program. It's every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. And we've got about 4 more weeks left, which is really exciting. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.